I want to start by telling you a story. Let's rewind back to 2020. I was a worship pastor at a local church, and we experienced something that I'm sure many of you did during this time. One of my primary worship leaders contracted coronavirus. This was a volunteer that had been with me since my early days at the church, back when we had almost no one on our team. And he had faithfully led us alongside me through all of our changes and growth, and all the while covered me and my family with prayer. He was certainly one of those extreme cases. Every day was a new outlook, mostly bad. In fact, there were many weeks my senior pastor and I looked at the church calendar to assess when a funeral might be held if he were to pass away. After months of intensive care, positive progress started happening. We thanked God for those positive moments, but we certainly knew that the person coming out the other side of this was going to be very different than the person prior. And I was just sure that after all of the damage to his lungs and body, singing would not be something he would continue in his life. However, God had very different plans. God moved in a mighty way, and my dear friend came home after so many months in the hospital, seemingly on the brink of death. And as he continued his journey of healing, God once again moved. His voice returned in full force. Now, he may have needed a few extra breaths here and there, but his singing voice was once again ready to make a joyful noise. And eventually, he returned to singing with our worship team. And in fact, his first Sunday back, he led this very song, "Stand in Your Love." Now, with that story in mind, listen to some of these lyrics. When darkness tries to roll over my bones, when sorrow comes to steal the joy I own, when brokenness and pain is all I know, I won't be shaken. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. To hear his testimony of the difficulties and trials while battling this illness, often asking himself the question out of fear, why is this happening, or why keep going? We can certainly rest in the promise of an eternity in heaven, if that's God's will for my friend. But in those moments of fear, doubt, worry, anxiety, we can find peace because of the assurances of God. One of the songwriters, Ethan Hulse, cited 1 John 4:18 as a primary focus for this song. That verse is this: "There is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear, because fear has to do with punishment. The one who fears is not made perfect in love." Now, in this verse, John is talking about fear of final judgment. That there is no fear in the perfect love that we receive from God. And as we know from Proverbs 1:7, that fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. And it is that same God, now and forever, that loves us and casts out the fear of wrath and eternal punishment for those lives. If we love God and are walking with the assurances of eternity, those moments of fear that creep in can be banished. I think of it this way. Philippians 4:13 reminds us that I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. And our God has overcome Satan, sin, and death. And we can certainly rest in that promise.